This is Brandon Rabar, your host for today, and this is a dispatch from Daily Thunder. Every story, every game, every day. Welcome to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Rabar, beat writer for dailythunder.com. I am joined by my man, Ryan Woods, contributor to dailythunder.com. How you doing, Ryan?
Dennis gets past Green, layup off the glass. It's good. It's good. That's how
Am I talking to Ryan Woods or am I talking to Matt Pinto?
That's how I'm doing right now.
That Schroeder shot, that was the dagger. Good way to start this. The Thunder even the series at 2-2. Ryan, just your initial thoughts on Game 4.
I had to go back and watch the fourth to figure out how it happened, and it seemed even more confusing the second time, to be honest. That huge run to end the third was kind of the story of the game, taking that punch early in the third, 8 straight threes from Houston to start the third, and it got out to 15, and it just felt like that was going to be it. It really did. And Chris Paul, Royce called a hidden singles, and he just kept plugging away, kept them tight, and they were able to withstand a big run, and Houston went ice cold. And sometimes that's what you've got to do. They're gonna keep shooting, and we know that. And it was awesome to see the Thunder stage a comeback and pull it to within one going into the fourth quarter. It felt like such a huge momentum shift when Schroeder hit that shot at the buzzer. Makes it a 1-point game. Just shows the fight and the determination this team has played with all year. They overcome the obstacles and they defy the odds.
I don't know at what point we're going to start trusting this Thunder team and stop doubting them, because honestly, they've done it all season long. That is the story of this Thunder team. Huge deficits, big comebacks. We're talking like over 20-point deficits all season long. 2-0 deficit, come back, tie it 2-2. And then, I will agree with you, even though I tell other people, hey, never doubt this Thunder team. They always fight. Even me, I'm like, oh, the Rockets had 8 straight threes. They're up 15. I mean, like, how is this even possible? Like, this isn't going to happen. And what amazes me about the Rockets is I get their philosophy, but it's not like they're the Warriors. It's not like they're shooting 40% as a team from three. They shoot pretty much league average from three, and yet they're shooting 63s a game almost in this playoff series. You got to remember, when Jeff Green hits 13 of his first 23, well, then he missed his next 4 after that today. When the Rockets hit 8 straight threes in the third quarter, they're going to go cold. I think they went like 4 of 25 or something like that the rest of the game. And of course, that includes like that full court 3 that messed over a lot of people's bets, like the over-under on the bets. But like you said, I think that Schroeder had the 2 biggest shots, even though I'd say that Chris Paul was the most clutch and he was the biggest reason why the Thunder won today. I think the 2 shots, Schroeder at the end of the 3 with that huge 3, it was like 30 feet out that brought it to within 1. And then that layup that was kind of the dagger. I mean, Chris Paul and Schroeder were just both outstanding today.
Yeah, and I love the patience that they showed, even in getting back into the game. They weren't trying to shoot 10-point shots. They weren't trying to get it all back at once. They weren't gambling on defense. And I will say, those threes that Houston hit to start the third, they weren't open looks. And that's honestly why I felt it was so deflating, because they were contesting.
Yep.
And I mean, they opened the second half with a Robert Covington 3 where Gallo pretty much high-fived him on the follow-through. I didn't think you could play much better. And honestly, like we've seen, when Covington's taking the 3, we're kind of like, all right, we did well. And you usually win that defensive possession, and they couldn't have defended it better, and he buried it. And that kind of got him going. The house 3 put him up 15. I'm like, this is done. And so again, we see them over and over. They just march their way back into the game. And they're the best clutch team in the league. They've won so many games. They've been in these situations so many times that it isn't surprising that they pull these games out. But you just don't ever think they're going to do it, and they do it. It's awesome.
like, what's our problem that we keep doubting this team and they just keep proving us wrong? They keep doing it. You would think we would learn by now, but it just doesn't seem possible. And they
Mhm.
keep kind of pulling off what doesn't seem possible. I think the Rockets had a helping hand. I think that if they would have like driven, I know their philosophy, but I feel like there were so many times that Harden like drove to the lane and it seemed like he could have got an easy layup and he kicks it out to an open guy for three and they bricked it. And I don't know if a part of that is just Dort is in his head. Like he doesn't want the physical combat, I guess, of going up against Dort. Because there's so many times where he himself, it seems like he wants to drive, but he's like, forget it. I'm gassed. I'm going up against this tank. I'm just going to chunk a 27-foot contested three, whatever. I mean, it seemed like that
He
just
does.
happens so often. So the Thunder played the biggest part of it, but I think the Rockets just settling for so many bad shots and missing them played a big part as well.
Dort definitely does deter him, and the longer the game goes, he does seem to look a bit more gas, heavy legs, and even still he'll get in the lane, but it's that extra body that is stepping in that forces the pass out, and that's kind of all that's kind of how you have to defend Houston. It's a series of playing for someone else to beat you, and sometimes they will and sometimes they won't, and luckily for the Thunder today, they went ice cold in the fourth. I will say a huge stat that I believe it was Kevin Pelton put out is the Harden on-off numbers. The Thunder lost the game, the minutes where Harden was on the bench in the first two games by I think a combined like 7 or 8, and they've won by I think a combined 25 in the last two games. Oklahoma City has won in the last two games, so that's a huge stat to watch going forward. Is Oklahoma City taking advantage of the minutes that Harden is sitting? And I think it has a lot to do with the adjustments Donovan has made rotation wise. He's sprinkling in some lineups, to some really offense heavy lineups when Harden goes to the bench to try and take over those minutes. So I think that's an interesting little subplot headed into the last three games.
Yeah, it was deflating to see the role players in the bench go off so often in the first two games. You know, again, Harden and Westbrook are top 10 amazing, incredible talents. But I feel like the rest of the roster, like the next five best players are Thunder players. And you saw these guys, Austin Rivers, Ben McLemore, Jeff Green, just going off. And it was, you know, disheartening losing those minutes where Harden was sitting. And that, I think, was a big key in the Rockets winning the first two games and the Thunder winning the last two. You've got to win the minutes where Harden is sitting. Absolutely.
No
Especially
question.
with Russ out of the games right now. You're probably not going to win the games. I
Absolutely.
think that's a lot of it has to do with the Thunder just playing better. And I think they're figuring out some things on offense on how to attack the switching defense. But then I think these role players are cooling off, which you see with role players. I mean, yeah, they can have some good games, but they're role players for a reason.
Mhm. Yeah, and the the idea of Jeff Green hitting every three he looks at, it was it was going to come to an end at some point, and it finally. I mean, he hit a couple today, and they on just some poor communication by Noel. What did you think of Ferguson's minutes? Obviously, he was in there more due to foul trouble, but how do you think he did?
I think he did great. The Thunder outscored the Rockets by 4 in the 3 minutes that Ferguson played. I thought it was a really bold move of Donovan, but it was a smart move. They needed defense with Dort in foul trouble, and of course, you know you're tempted to play the three-guard lineup in Gallo and Adams in those moments, but that swing of 4 points was huge at that point, and Ferguson held it down well. He played good D. I mean, he missed his only shot, but that didn't matter. He played good. He got a steal, which was an important steal. And
Mhm.
to see the Thunder outscore them with Ferguson playing there instead of Dort or Schroeder, I thought was really impressive on Donovan's part and Ferguson's part.
Yeah, and it could have easily gone the other way, but he hung tough, and it. I think it was a nice 3 or 4 minute stretch for Schroeder to get some wind as well. He played a ton today, and speaking of Dort, he had 5 fouls with I think five, how it was like 9 minutes into the third left in the third. He got his fifth foul.
Dort played so well
Hmm.
and guarded James Harden, the best scorer on earth, with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry hurt. Dort to guard him like he did without fouling him for that entire time, just another impressive little notch on his belt.
Yeah, and it felt like, so he came back in around the 8 minute mark, and I thought, well, it was like tied, I think, and it felt like Donovan was just saying he's way more important to us right now in a close game than in a 8 or 9 point game late. So we're rolling the dice now, and he'll probably. I think Donovan probably, if you would have cornered him, he would have said, yeah, he's getting his sixth foul. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
But the fact that he went the rest of the game without fouling, it allowed them to go to that small lineup with 4.5 left, and they were up by 1 when that lineup went in and outscored the Rockets by 5 the rest of the way. Just an amazing bit of defense. It doesn't that we talk a lot about the physicality, the physical tools that he has on defense, but that goes well beyond the physical tools that he has to stay in that game for that long, guarding Harden the entire time. That he's an incredibly smart defender. He's a very situationally aware defender, and he hats off to Dort, because he really did a number in that fourth quarter on Harden, allowing that small lineup to go. And credit to Donovan, he went to it in the first and second half. He closed both halves with it last few minutes. So he's seeing what we're seeing, and it's very exciting headed to Game 5.
I'm impressed, of course, by Dort, but I want to give a quick shout out to Darius Baisley. He's not playing a lot of minutes, but he is playing, 18 minutes per game, and he's playing well in those. He's not getting a lot of shots, but the shots he's taking are good shots, and he's hitting them, and he's getting boards. He's playing solid D. The Thunder dwindled down the rotation to 8 men, and I think it's really impressive that in a playoff series against the Rockets that's tied 2-2, that 2 rookies, one of them drafted at 23 and one of them undrafted, made the Thunder's final 8 cut, and both are having a big impact on the Thunder's winning. Also, I want to give a shout out to Billy Donovan, because the man is much maligned when things go wrong, so I feel like we need to give him kudos. I think he's done a bang-up great job both of these last couple games. Would we like to see some more small ball, and would we, the Noel minutes and things like that? Maybe, but you can't argue with the success the last couple games and how things have turned and how momentum has turned. I'm just really impressed also with the minutes that small ball is being played. It's almost like the Warriors' death lineup. They only did it in certain spots, but when he utilized small ball today, it was really, really effective.
So I saw someone tweet they called it the Dorth lineup, and I will find it and shout that person out after the next game, because that was phenomenal. But yeah, you're right. Donovan certainly took some heat, and I would be the first to admit I still can't believe he's playing Noel, but that's why he's a head coach, and we're, as you called us, blog boys. He's incredibly committed to what they believe is their best chance at winning, and there's so much more. There's a whole other side of this that gets into the humanity of the team. Like, if you take a guy out of the rotation, what does it do to the locker room? What is it if you lose that guy completely? What happens to the team? He's juggling a lot more than we know, and he's done a really good job at juggling. What seems to be obvious and going small, and still getting these guys in there. And I thought Noel did play a bit better today. He was a bit more aggressive, and Steve certainly was as well. Early on, he looked a lot better. So if you're going to get that type of performance out of those 2 bigs, I think they become a bit more playable, and he's showing flexibility to go to that smaller lineup. And I think he's doing a great job in staggering the 3 guards. I think he always seems to have 2 of them really fresh at all times, which you can't really ask for anything more.
Yeah, and there's always 2 of them on the court at one time. Then, of course, the Thunder are fantastic when all three are on the floor at the same time. To me, that's been the biggest turnaround. Obviously, Lou Dort has made a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to me, the biggest reason the Thunder have won these last couple games has been because the three guards have been phenomenal each of the last two games.
Yeah.
They struggled the first couple games. Shea had that really great game too, but these last two games, Schroeder has been the leading scorer. CP3 has been the second leading scorer, and Shea's been huge as well. All three of them have been just fantastic. And for this Thunder team to win, this Thunder team goes as those three go. When those three are scoring and playmaking and doing it efficiently, this Thunder team is hard to beat. And that's how they've been these last couple games.
And can we take like 2 or 3 minutes and put our Homer hats on? The Rockets are a really frustrating team to play against. Like,
Dude.
just the after the whistle stuff, like,
Dude.
It is constant. There are a couple times where my wife is like, how are they arguing that contact? Like when House just trucked Lou Dort. Not only was he arguing going to break, coming out of the timeout, he and D'Antoni are both still on Tony Brothers. It was like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
And then the challenge was so smart on their end. Like, I don't know how in the world that's overturned, not just overturned, but called an offensive foul.
Ridiculous.
Couldn't believe it. They're just a lot. They are a lot.
It's frustrating because, like you said, it's after every call. To me, if I was a ref, it's like the boy who cried wolf. I'm like, all right, if you're going to argue that House one where he just completely trucked Dort, how am I supposed to believe you on all these other ones when you're like, you're obvious. I know you're lying about that one. So, it makes me not believe all your other ones. And it's on both sides of the floor. They never believe they ever foul on one end, and they believe they are fouled every time on the other end. It is so frustrating to watch. Now, the Thunder outshot them from the free throw line big time today.
Yeah.
But there's a big reason why. The Rockets shot 57 threes. When you shoot 57 threes, you're not going to get a lot of free throws. Yeah. The Thunder were driving to the rim constantly.
And then to cap it off, you've got Russ over there in a Laker uniform going ham and chirping a lot. And he actually got a little chippy with Adams and Schroeder, I believe.
Yeah.
It looked to happen a little more between he and Schroeder, and Adams was kind of settling the score, but that was an interesting little wrinkle there.
Yeah, as a Thunder fan who still, loves Russell Westbrook and always will, and I'll be there, day one when a statue is made and all that stuff, taking pictures. I get it. Like, I don't like seeing it, but I get it. I mean, that's why we love Russ when he was a Thunder player, 100%. And he's going to be that way. And I know that he has affection still for Steven Adams and for the Thunder organization and all that stuff. So it doesn't really bother me because I get it. You're on the court and Russ is Russ. Sure. Steven Adams and Dennis Schroeder don't have the word Spalding or I guess Wilson across their faces right now. So he's not their friend right now. When the game's over and the series are over, they're still going to be mates and all that stuff. So I'm not worried about it. But like in the heat of the moment, I get why some fans are like, how could you, Russ, or whatever. It's just one of those things. So speaking of Russ, let's end this podcast with this. Do you think Russ comes back game 5?
I mean, this is going off absolutely zero information, obviously, but I'm going to say no. I think if Oklahoma City wins game 5, I think you'll for sure see him in game 6 if he doesn't play game 5. But I got to be honest, I'm excited for him to play.
Yeah, it just brings, the storylines. I'm going to cut that out. Hiccup during the middle of that. Or burped or some sort of weird gas came out. I don't know what. I might leave it in now. I don't care. Who cares? But the storylines, the drama, the stakes, all those things, the hot takes on social media, it'll just be fun. And honestly, as a Thunder fan who wants to see the Thunder advance, I don't know. You can see it both ways. Russ is still, to me, a top 10 talent, and he could elevate them and make them unstoppable. But then he's probably not going to be 100%. He's probably going to try really hard like he is 100%. And, there's going to be emotions there because he's playing the Thunder, and now they've lost 2 in a row. So I could see it both ways. It could be a great thing for the Thunder or a really bad thing for the Thunder if he comes back.
Mm-hmm. It just feels like if he comes back, it's going to get a little more hectic and chaotic.
Yep.
And it just feels like there may be a few more turnovers, a couple more missed shots, a couple shots that they don't really want. May take some guys out of rhythm. With those Hardenless minutes are going to be dependent on Russ, and those numbers haven't looked great for the majority of the year when it's Harden off, Russ on. So I think Oklahoma City is in a good spot either way, because I think they're figuring some things out, and I think the longer this series goes, the better that is for Oklahoma City. For a Houston team that only plays 7 guys, I think it really works in their favor to stretch this thing out. But even with Russ, I really, really like what that does is in terms of playing Steven Adams. I like what that does for the small ball unit. I think it does a number of good things for Oklahoma City if he comes back. And obviously that comes with the caveat of he could just win them games as well. He's that good of a player, and Thunder fans know that is as good as anybody. But they also have seen his performance in the last 3 playoffs, and if that guy shows up, Oklahoma City's in a real good spot.
Yeah. We all know good rest, bad rest. It depends, on the game. Usually there's more good rest than bad rest, but when bad rest happens, it helps the opposing team. So yeah, I think the one really good thing if he came back is then all of a sudden Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel definitely have more of a role, and that could help the Thunder. Russ in there, it just changes the entire dynamic. And I love Russ, but there's one less – all of a sudden there's one guy who you don't have to guard from the three-point line, and that shifts the entire defense as well in a lot of ways.
That's it.
So, Ryan, thank you for being with us tonight. As always, Game 5 Wednesday night, big Game 5. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Cheers.